Greetings, students. This is Ms. Swana from Hartsbande TVET College in Standerton campus. Today's lesson will come from food preparation, level 3, the stocks, soups, as well as sauces, which is topic 2. So the subject outcomes that we are going to cover, they are 4. The first one will be identifying the main contamination threats in preparing the stocks, sauces, hot and cold soups. The second one will be demonstrating and understanding all the relevant food hygiene regulations. The third one, identifying and understanding the different types of stock. The fourth one, the procedures for the preparation, cooking, and storage of a range of stocks. So our unit 1 will talk about the main contamination threats in preparing the stocks, sauces, hot and cold soups. Number 1, you need to cool the stock quickly and properly, because we all know that when we prepare the stock, we use the bones, of which the bones, they are the perishable items. So we need to make sure that we cool the stock quickly before we store it in the refrigerator. Because if we put the hot stock in the refrigerator, what will happen? It will damage other perishable items in the refrigerator. The second one, we need to clean and sanitize cutting surfaces and equipment after handling raw poultry, meat and fish. Why do we need to sanitize and clean the equipment? Because the poultry, it is a perishable item. It contains bacteria which is called salmonella. So we are trying to avoid the cross-contamination of bacteria from one equipment to another, and also food poisoning. Then unwashed raw vegetables could carry possible soil particles that may carry the bacteria. So as we will be preparing the stocks and also soups, we also use the vegetables, of which the vegetables, they carry soil. So we need to make sure that we rinse the vegetables thoroughly before preparing. Then we also use the dairy products. So the dairy products should be handled and stored correctly. How do we store the dairy products? We store them in the refrigerator. So you need to take them out before you prepare the stock. That was our unit 1. Then unit 2, demonstrating and understanding all the relevant food hygiene regulations. Number 1, prepared stocks that are not for immediate use should be cooled immediately, as we said before, and should be stored in the refrigerator below 5 degrees Celsius. Then you can store the stocks in the refrigerator. You can also store the stocks in the deep freezer. So the required temperature of the deep freezer is minus 18 degrees Celsius. Then number 3, the soups, sauces, and stocks should never be reheated more than once. So you just reheat them once. The stock should be prepared fresh daily and be discarded at the end of the day, because we are trying to avoid food poisoning and multiplication of bacteria. You must never store soups, stocks, or sauces above the eye level, because it could lead to the accidents. Then do not mix the leftovers with freshly prepared stocks, soups, and sauces. And also, we said you are not allowed to put the hot stock in the refrigerator, and you need to clean and sanitize the working surfaces. Then lastly, the vegetables should be washed thoroughly, because we are trying to remove the soil particles. That was Unit 2. In Unit 2, we're talking about the relevant food hygiene regulations, the regulations that we need to follow when we prepare the stocks, the regulations that we need to follow when we store the stocks. Then Unit 3, it's whereby we'll be identifying and understanding the different types of stocks. Then before we can identify the different types of stocks, we need to explain some terms. The terms that we are going to explain, number 1, we need to know what is a stock. Number 2, what are the aromatic vegetables? Number 3, the meal box. Number 4, collagen. Number 5, cartilage, as well as acidulated water. So what is a stock? We've been talking about stock, so we need to know on how to define the stock. A stock, it is a well-flavored liquid that forms the basis for many classic and modern dishes, such as the sauces, stews, gravies, glaze, and other dishes. So instead of using water when you prepare the soups or the sauces or the stews, we use the stock, of which the stock, it helps us to get flavor. Number 2, aromatic vegetables. What are the aromatic vegetables? When we talk about the aromatic vegetables, we are referring to the onion, carrot, celery, as well as the leeks. So the aromatic vegetables, they help your stock to have a good flavor. Then we've got meal box. The meal box are the vegetables that we use when we prepare the stock. So the meal box consists of carrots, celery, and also onion. They are roughly chopped into large chunks. Then the other term, it's collagen. It is a type of connective tissue in meats that dissolves when cooked with moisture to form gelatin. I'll make an example of chicken feet. If you cook the chicken feet, you'll find out that the gravy is thick. It's because of the gelatin. There is more gelatin in chicken feet. Then we've got cartilage. It is a translucent elastic tissue found in bones of younger animals. It is usually converted into bones in older animals. Then lastly, we've got acidulated water. Acidulated water, it is a liquid to which an acid is added. So the acid that you can add into water, it can be wine. Secondly, it can be lemon juice. So we explained the stock. What is a stock? We said it is a flavored liquid. Number 2, we explained aromatic vegetables. We said they include onion, carrot, celery, and the leeks. The meal box, we said they include carrots, celery, and onion that are roughly chopped. We also explained collagen, of which we said it is a type of connective tissue found in meat that dissolved when cooked with moisture. Then we also explained cartilage. We said it is a translucent elastic tissue that is found in bones of younger animals. And also acidulated water, we said it is a liquid to which an acid is added. So we have made the examples of acid that can be added in water. We said it can be wine or lemon juice. Then we've got different types of stocks. We've got a white stock, we've got brown stock, fish stock, and cod bouillon. What is a white stock? The white stock, it is made by simmering chicken. It can be veal, it can be beef or game bones with vegetables and seasonings. So the white stock is used in white soups, sauces, and stews. So we said the white stock is made by simmering the chicken. It can be chicken bones, it can be veal bones, it can be beef bones or game bones with vegetables. Remember we spoke earlier about the meat box, of which we said the meat box, it's composed of carrot, onion, and also leeks, of which we use it when we make the stock. So those vegetables that we are talking about is the meat box. Then next one is the brown stock. It is made from chicken bones. It can be veal bones, it can be beef bones or game bones, and also vegetables. But now when you make the brown stock, you first caramelize the bones as well as vegetables. How do we caramelize the bones and vegetables? You put your bones into a baking tray, you sprinkle with olive oil and roast them until the color changes into brown. Then we use those bones for making the brown stock, and also we also add the tomato product. The tomato product, it can be the tomato puree. So we use the brown stock when we prepare the soups, the sauces, as well as stew. Then the fish stock is made by slowly cooking unbrowned fish bones or crushed ocean shells as well as vegetables. Then simmering in water together with seasoning for a short period. Then lastly, then we've got the cod bouillon, which is, this is a flavored acidulated liquid. And by the time we're explaining the terms, we explained the acidulated liquid. We said it is the water of which the acid is added. So we mentioned the types of acids that we can use. We said it can be lemon juice and also wine. So we've mentioned, we spoke about the types of stocks. We said it's number one, it can be white stock. Number two, brown stock. We explained them, the fish stock as well as the cod bouillon. Then we've been talking about the stock. We said a stock, it is a well-flavored liquid. Now we'll be talking about the basic stock ingredients. So the main ingredients that we use when we prepare the stock, they are four. So number one, the bones. Number two, ingredient number two, the meat box, the seasoning, as well as water. Those are the basic stock ingredients. So the bones, it can be beef bones. Number two, it can be veal bones. Number three, it can be chicken bones as well as fish bones. That is ingredient number one. Ingredient number two, the meat box, are the vegetables. So the vegetables, the carrots, onion, and celery that are roughly chopped into uniform size of 3 to 5 centimeters. Then under meat box, we said the meat box is composed of 3 ingredients. We spoke about carrot, onion, as well as celery. That is the traditional meat box. So we also have the white meat box. When we prepare the white meat box, we substitute the carrot with the mushrooms. And also, we do have the classical meat box, of which the ham or bacon is added. Then ingredient number 3 is the seasoning. The seasoning, it can be thyme, it can be bay leaves, it can be peppercorns, it can be parsley stems, the cloves, the garlic. Then the salt is not usually added, because if it is added, it might become too concentrated. That is, the stock might become too concentrated. Then lastly, we've got water. When we prepare the stock, we use the cold water. Why do we use the cold water? Because the cold water speeds the extraction of all soluble substances from all the stock ingredients that we have mentioned earlier. So the basic stock ingredients we said are the bones, the mere box, which is the vegetables, the seasoning, as well as water. Then the stock can be available as powder. It can be available as cubes as well as tinned liquid. The tinned liquid stock has the best quality, but it is very expensive. Freshly prepared stock is the best to use if you have time to prepare your own. So the stocks, it comes in different ways. It can be powder, it can be cubes, or the tinned liquid stock. Then don't forget that we spoke about the different types of stocks. We said they are 4. We spoke about the white stock, the brown stock, the fish stock, as well as the cod bouillon. Then we spoke about the main ingredients that we use when we prepare the stock. We said we spoke about the bones, the vegetables, which is the mere box. We spoke about the seasonings as well as the cold water. Now we are moving to Unit 4. The procedure for the preparation, cooking, and storage of range of stock, because we start by preparing the stock. After preparing the stock, then we cook it. After cooking the stock, then we store it. So there are procedures that we need to follow. Before we can talk about the procedures, there are 2 terms that I want us to discuss. The first one is the banquet gun. What is a banquet gun? The herbs are tied together. So those herbs that are tied together, they are used for flavoring. They include the thyme, the bay leaves, and parsley. Then the second term, to pilia, is to remove foam. That means when you prepare the stock, you'll find out that there is a foam on top of your stock. So you need to remove it from the surface. Then the preparation. How do we prepare the stock? We've got the steps that we need to follow. Step number 1, you chop the bones and meat in large chunks. Number 2, you need to remove the marrow and fat, because the fat and marrow can make your stock to be cloudy. Step number 3, then you soak your bones in cold water. Number 4, then you simmer very slowly to allow as much flavor as possible to be extracted from the bones. Then make sure that you do not cook your stock for too long. So we've got cooking times. When you prepare the fish stock, the cooking time is between 30 and 45 minutes. For chicken stock, it's between 3 to 4 hours. For beef, lamb, or mutton stock, it's between 6 and 8 hours. So make sure that when you cook your stock, you don't cook it for too long, because your stock will become cloudy. Then after that, after cooking the stock, then you remove the foam as necessary. Then after removing the foam, you chop your vegetables into large chunks. Then, if you remember earlier, we spoke about the mere box. We said the mere box is composed of carrots, onion, as well as celery. So those are the vegetables that you need to cut them into large chunks. Then after that, you add little salt if it's necessary, because we said if you add too much salt, it will make your stock to concentrate. Then the bay leaves, peppercorns, cloves, and other herbs could be used to add flavor, because by the time we're talking about the main ingredients for preparing the stock, we mentioned seasoning. That means the bay leaves, the peppercorns, the cloves, and other herbs, we use them as seasoning because they give flavor to our stock. Then after that, you need to carefully strain the cooked stock. Then you cool it down as quickly as possible and store it in the refrigerator. If you remember, we said if you store the hot stock in the refrigerator, what will happen? It will damage all the perishable items in your refrigerator. So make sure that you cool your stock quickly, then you store it in the refrigerator. Then after that, you remove any foam as necessary. So we're talking about the preparation of stock. We said number 1, you chop the bones. Number 2, you remove the fats and marrow, because the marrow, it can cause your stock to be cloudy. We soak in cold water. We simmer very slowly. Then make sure that you stick to the cooking times, because if you cook your stock for too long, your stock will become cloudy. Then you remove the foam, then you chop your vegetables and add into your stock. Then you add little salt only if it's necessary. You add your seasonings, you strain your stock, you cool it as quickly as possible. Then you also remove foam after that. That was the preparation of stock. Then, after cooking the stock, let's say you find out that your stock is cloudy. Then you want to make, or you want to prepare the white stock. So we also clarify the stock. How do we clarify the stock? For each liter of stock, we use 1 egg. You separate the egg, then you use the egg white. You slightly beat the egg white. You pour your egg white into the stock, and also you crush the shells. You put the crushed shells into your stock and simmer it for a few minutes. Then you take it out and sieve it. Then now we're talking about clarifying the stock. Why do we need to clarify the stock? Is to remove any impurities that can cause the stock to be cloudy. So, number 1, the first thing that you need to do, you chill the stock well, and then you remove the solid fats from your stock. How do you remove the solid fats from your stock? It's either you use the spoon or you use the absorbent paper. Then how do we clarify the stock? You wash 1 egg for each liter of stock, which means if you are having 5 liters of stock, you'll need to have 5 eggs. For each liter, 1 egg. Then you add the broken shells. Then you slightly beat the egg whites to the stock. Then after that, then you heat slowly and stir on and off until the stock starts to boil. Then you remove from heat and allow it to stand for 20 minutes. Then after that, you sieve once or twice with a double cheesecloth. Then make sure that you do not press the cloth to remove the last liquid, as this might force the last raft. So we're talking about clarifying the stock. We said 1 egg for each liter. Then we use the shells, the broken shells. You also use the egg white. You slightly beat the egg white and add to your stock and simmer for 2 minutes. And after that, you remove it from the heat and allow it to stand for 20 minutes. Then you sieve using the double layer of cheesecloth. Then make sure that you do not press the cloth to remove the last liquid, because this might force the last raft. That was all about our lesson. We're talking about the stock. So we defined some terms that you need to know. We spoke about the different types of stock. We spoke about the main ingredients that we use when we prepare the stock. We spoke about the storage of stock. How do we store the stock? That before you store the stock, you cool the stock quickly. You can store it in the refrigerator below 5 degrees Celsius. You can also store it in the freezer at minus 18 degrees Celsius. And also, we spoke about clarifying the stock. It's whereby you remove any impurities from the stock. Okay, from our lesson, the subject outcomes that we have covered already. We spoke about the main contamination threats. That means the things that we need to avoid, those things that can make the food poisoning or the cross-contamination of bacteria. Then we spoke about the hygiene regulations that we need to stick to when we prepare the stocks. We also spoke about the different types of stocks and also how to cook, how to prepare and how to store the different types of stocks. For any further questions, you can hit me up at GS College social media platforms. Bye.